really important recitation of the people we've lost this year. We just don't hear enough, even in the community, about the people we've lost.
Right.
And it's only a small fraction, as they said, of the people we've actually lost, because so often people are misgendered or crimes go unreported as anything to do with hate crimes. For example, last month, a young white trans woman named Serena Brennerman, who was 16 years old, was found drowned in Salem, Oregon. And Serena's death was ruled a suicide by the police. But her friends and community don't believe that. She was physically harassed by bigots in her school for a long time. And some of this violence leading up to her death was even captured on video. Whether Serena was murdered or took her own life, she was a victim of the trans panic being pushed by the rich and powerful in this country and embraced by violent neo-Nazis and TERFs. There's a war against trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people. But it's not new, but it has escalated to an unprecedented degree this last year. And it's spilling over into the whole LGBTQ+ community and those who support us. Doctors and children's hospitals are threatened with bombing. Neo-Nazis shut down drag events, often aided by local cops. Parents are threatened with prosecution for supporting their kids. We are all increasingly threatened and accosted on the streets, in the stores, on the subways, with slurs and threats. What are the supposed friends of the LGBTQ+ community in Washington doing to stop this? Not a damn thing. They tell us to vote for them, the way they told women to vote for them before standing aside and letting abortion rights be stripped away. Meanwhile, alleged progressives like Hillary Clinton are spouting TERF rhetoric and dismissing trans rights in the media. The Biden administration and Congress have made it crystal clear that their priority is funding wars for empire on the other side of the world, not protecting the rights of people here. It's painful to watch, but we're not powerless. 2 weeks ago, and this is why I really wanted to share this, because it's not getting enough attention in our community. 2 weeks ago, something incredibly important happened just 90 miles from U.S. shores. After 3 years of democratic discussion and education at all levels of society, the people of Cuba voted by a 2/3 majority for a new code of families that enshrines the rights of queers, trans people, and women in marriage and adoption. It changes the fundamental relationship between parents and kids to one based on responsibilities and rights. It elevates chosen families to the same status as blood families and embraces the rights that are being stripped away from us or that we never had at all. In the US media, what happened in Cuba was reduced to a vote for gay marriage. They don't want people in this country to know what Cuba's code of family is or how it was achieved. They especially don't want the trans and LGBTQ+ community to know, because people here might realize that we need to fight for what Cuba has.
Yes.
Free health care, including gender-affirming care. Free education, including comprehensive sex education. The right to housing and work and dignity for all. There's an old liberal saying from the 1960s that those who make reform impossible make revolution inevitable. Today's liberals don't mention that much because it's a damning indictment of their own inaction and complacency. Cuba made a revolution to get out from under the thumb of the U.S. empire. Washington has been blockading Cuba ever since. Cuba has been subject to a 60-year economic blockade on trade, medicine, and food, and much more. And Trump tightened the blockade, and Biden has kept this hateful measure in place in spite of the pandemic and climate collapse. One of the most hateful and destructive policies of the U.S. empire, in my opinion, is how they use the rights of trans people, LGBTQ+ people, and women as an excuse to attack other countries around the world for its wars of profit. It's so obvious right now as our own limited rights are being viciously stripped away. We need to rely on ourselves, not corporate-sponsored politicians, to fight for our rights. We need to build alliances with other people here and around the world who are fighting for their rights and against the empire. Trans people, those of us who are on the front line of so much abuse and bigotry, we can play a leading role in building a revolutionary movement here. Just look at how trans and queer workers at Starbucks and Amazon have become an incredible force for organizing unions all over the country. I'm so glad everyone is here today. Our numbers may be small, but we're taking a first step toward working together to protect ourselves and our communities, and that's priceless. Bigots say, get back. We say, fight back. Bigots say, get back.
We say, fight back. Bigots say, get back. We say, fight back. Bigots say, get back. We say, fight back.